All right, everyone. Welcome to the Sports Card Therapist, where I bring you a behind the scenes look at my hobby hustle and sprinkle in some self care and wellness on top of that. I'm Rob Gerard, your Sports Card Therapist. And whether if you're listening to me on iTunes, Spotify, or watching me on YouTube, welcome to the podcast. You can also reach out to me on Instagram and YouTube at Sports Card Therapist. I'm also on Twitter at card_therapist. Although I'm not very active on YouTube and Twitter, I'm still there. Also, I have another podcast that I do. I think most of my listeners know about this by now. It's called The Bounce that I do with Amil Sarfane from the Slab Talk. If you want to check out The Bounce, where we drop weekly episodes, you can search on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, basically however it is you're listening or watching this episode, and just search The Slab Talk, The Bounce, and you'll find it. You should have no problem. So, man, this has been quite an episode in the making. This is episode 75 of the Sports Card Therapist. 3/4 the way to 100. I'm exactly at the midway point of season 2 because, as you guys remember, season 1 of Sports Card Therapist was exactly 50 episodes. I'm planning on doing exactly 50 episodes for this as well. And not to mention, I think I'm coming up right around the year anniversary of this podcast being released. So unbelievable. I've been doing this podcast for just about a year now. It's been just mind blowing and just life changing. This has been absolutely life changing. I was actually chatting back and forth. Oh my God, episode 1 of Sports Card Therapist was released on May 19th, 2021. This episode is being recorded and released on May 20th, exactly 1 year and 1 day to the day. So just the evolution and the growth that I've seen in myself has been amazing. So, I was talking with uh my man from Stacking Slabs, Brett McGrath. Okay. I was just talking with him the other day, and really, he always talks about how having a podcast is a hobby hack. And I completely agree with that because having a podcast is like going to college for cards. You are forced to hit the books. You are forced to just dive into areas that you would have never known about. You are forced to really roll up your sleeves and get down in the mud and get down in the weeds and learn things that I think the average collector from the outside that maybe isn't as involved. I just feel like I see just I've heard and seen so many things. Okay, I'm not saying I know more than anyone else. I'm only 2 years back in this hobby after being away for decades. So by all means, but I can't believe where I am right now in my collecting. There's so much I want to get into. I don't even know where to start. Well, I want to start at the beginning, but it wouldn't make sense to start from the beginning. So I'm just gonna say it. I have obtained my $100,000 card. Yes, you heard me correctly. I have obtained my $100,000 card that I've been talking about so much. Well, kind of. It did not cost me $100,000 because the market and this player's market has been down and criminally down. So at this point last year, this card would have cost me over 100,000. But this time it did not cost me over 100,000. Um, but I have no doubt in my mind that this card is going to bounce back in value and even over that value. But if it doesn't, you know what? I still have this card and I absolutely love this card. So I am just ecstatic that I was able to reach that goal. And I finally obtained the card that I've been talking about for at least the last 10 to 15 episodes. The 2003 Ultimate Collection LeBron James rookie auto numbered out of 250. If you're watching me on YouTube, you can see it right now. I'm holding it right up in front of my face. It's a BGS 8.5 autograph grade 9. All right. They say buy the grade you can afford. and this is the grade I could afford. I was watching a golden auction for this exact card at the time of actually purchasing this, and with a week still to go, was still 7 days left to go, it was up to over 70,000, and I was like, oh my god, freeing up 70K. But I can't wait to jump into the story about how I was able to get this card. I truly believe in this card long term, and that's my plan. That's my goal, is to hold this card long term. A lot of people ask if I'm going to try to cross it over, try to get a PSA 9. I've only talked to, I shouldn't say a lot of people, because I've only told a couple people, specifically my wolf pack. And who knows? I'm not really in the business of cracking cards and, resubmitting, but I'm just enjoying having this card right now. And I can't believe I got this card. I've gotten so much great advice and feedback from people since I started this podcast a year ago. And what's crazy is that, like I said, yesterday was the 1 year anniversary of starting this podcast. And this is the exact midpoint of season 2. And if you remember, at the beginning of season 1, episode 1 of season 2, at the beginning of season 2, episode 1, I discussed my goal for this calendar year of 2022, being that I wanted to get that $100,000 card. And I had a few reasons for that, which I will get into. Now, first of all, you guys know that I'm a licensed psychotherapist. I'm also I'm a licensed clinical social worker, and I'm a licensed alcohol and drug counselor. Without a doubt, I believe in treatment plans. I believe in goal setting, setting your sights high, documenting what you want to achieve, because, you know, you have much more of a chance of achieving your goal if it's written down and documented. It's a way of holding yourself accountable. So, on top of believing in things like treatment plans and goal setting, I also believe in the law of attraction. I'm pretty sure if you're a regular listener of this podcast, you guys have heard me talk about this, writing down your goals, um, law of attraction, all of them. And those are both concepts and philosophies of mine crammed into one statement, right? It's like goal setting, law of attraction. So I had Josh Johnson from Card Ladder on my podcast last season and this season. And when I had him on, he had made the big news of selling his LeBron Exquisite RPA. And when I had him on, I discussed purchasing that. He had purchased it for 140,000 a few years back. And then he ended up flipping that and selling it for 1.3 million. He ended up 10xing his investment on that LeBron RPA. And I'm not naive enough to think that I'm going to be able to duplicate that recipe for 10x. A lot of things have changed, and a lot of things have to take place for that kind of flip to happen, right? The big market boom of 2020 and 2021, right place, right time, the stars aligning, the fact that the card was numbered out of 99, etc. But I started to really think about that amazing life-changing flip that he made, and I wanted to try to do something similar. And I'm not saying I just want to go flip this card. I don't. I truly want to hold this card for, I would say, at least his retirement, maybe his Hall of Fame induction, and see kind of where this value lies. Um, so when I started thinking about setting my sights on $100,000 card, I put that out there, right? Now, I started getting feedback from people, and they said, listen, you should focus on getting a specific card rather than an exact figure, right? You should think about obtaining an exact card. Get a card in mind. Made sense, right? It makes complete sense. You should envision getting the card, not so much that $100,000 figure. So I did. And I started thinking about what I wanted. And this card, this is his most sought after rookie auto. So you have a GOAT, LeBron James, boom, checks that box, right? You have a GOAT, then you have a rookie, checks that box. Auto, on card auto, checks that box. numbered out of 250. So there's that scarcity factor. Boom, checks that box. GOAT, rookie, on card auto, scarcity. Wow. That right there just it seals the deal for me. It seals the deal. I knew that was the card I wanted. That's the card I was going to chase. I figured it would take me quite some time to do that, though. I figured I was going to set my sight on a year by the end of 2022, just because I know how things work, right? I know how things work, and things don't always happen. And so initially, probably, the first 10 episodes of season 2, I was talking about this $100,000 card, and people kept asking, "What's card? Do you know what card? Do you know what card?" And for some reason, I didn't want to put it out there. I didn't want to say this card because I'm not saying I have this tremendous impact on the market, right? I'm not saying that, okay? But I didn't want to put it out there and either A, drive prices up, B, if I came across someone that had this card for sale, they might know how desperate and how much I've put into the idea of acquiring this card, and they might almost try to raise the rates on me a little bit, you know. And 3 or C, whichever way you're going, part of me was kind of scared of failure because I felt like getting this card was such a big, tall task that if I put it out there, I was going to be accountable for that. And, I don't want to fail. Who likes failing? But I also know that failure is part of success. So I was nervous about putting the card out there, but I decided to put it out there. I decided to start talking about the card. Lo and behold, people started hitting me up on Instagram. They started sending me leads on cards. Now, think about it. There's only 250 of these that were ever made. I don't know if 250 still exist. I would imagine probably close to that number, right? Maybe one or two got lost in the mail, got lost, got destroyed, misplaced, maybe altered. Maybe there was some that were trimmed. I don't know, but for there to only be 250 of these, so people started sending me leads. Now, shout out to you guys, shout out to the listeners, shout out to the viewers for sending me these leads. Now, for the most part, they were all the same one or two leads, because there's really only one or two people that you could see that actually have these for sale. There was only 2 on eBay for sale. That's it. There's 2, and there's probably still those same 2 there. One of them, the guy's asking 1 million. One of them, the guy's asking 500,000. Then there was a guy on Instagram that paid for a sponsored post saying that it was a PSA 10 saying that he was willing to take 200K. I messaged the guy, he said 200K, and I was like, man, I think that's just out of my price range. But I was glad. I started feeling like I was onto something by putting it out there. People were contacting me and saying, hey, did you see this one? Hey, did you see that one? So I felt good about that. So I want to shout out, my guys in the Wolfpack, always, Amil Sarfane, Ken Cairns, who is at Sports Card Lessons. He's got a great podcast. Dave, DJ Sports Cards 86, the soccer guru. But I want to give a special shout out to Craig at New York City Sports Cards, because let me tell you something, man. Shout out to Craig, who said to me, when I first put this out there, first of all, Craig is absolutely, I feel like, my biggest advocate. He's my biggest cheerleader. And I say that in the most humble, respectful way possible. And I feel like I'm a cheerleader of his too. But when I put this out there, he is so supportive, man. He is 100%. He is like the dude that, like, every person on earth needs a guy like Craig in their life, man. Seriously. Because when I put this out there that I wanted to get this card by the end of 2022, you know what he said to me? He goes, dude, you'll have it by national. You got this. You got this. Always being this positive, motivating, empowering voice in my ear. So for a living, I'm a licensed therapist, as I've said. I'm used to cheering people on. I'm used to the one always building people up and empowering them and whatnot. So when I have someone like Craig doing that to me, or when I get DMs from listeners of the podcast, it feels strange, when people are like, "Yo, you got this. You got this. I believe in you." It does feel strange, but I love it. So thank you and I appreciate you. So I'm going to walk you through this. I'm going to walk you through how I acquired this. Okay. So this whole thing only started 5 days ago. That's it. So at the time of recording and airing this episode, it is May 20th, 2022. May 15th, Sunday morning, I wake up. May 15th, Sunday morning, I wake up to a message from Cayenne. I hope I'm saying it right. It's spelled Kian. Kian or Cayenne, maybe Kian. So his Instagram is Kians_cards. So KIANS_cards. At the time of recording this, he has a Kobe jersey as his profile pic. So definitely hit him up, shoot him a follow, and tell him that you heard the shout out on the pod from me. So I get a message from him. I don't know if I've ever messaged with this guy before. Okay. Don't know if I've ever messaged. Looking back on it, you know what? April 29th, he sends me a lead on this card. And it's that sponsored post. And I said, "Hey, man, thank you. I reached out a few weeks back. They're asking 400K. So at the time, they were asking 400K. He goes, "Oh, man, that's insane. Good luck on the pursuit of your grail. Love the content. Keep it coming." I said, "Appreciate you, brother." So about 3 weeks later, I wake up Sunday morning. I get a message from him. It's a link to a Facebook group and then a photo. It was a screenshot. And then he said, "Saw this LeBron Ultimate Collection on a Facebook group. You might not need 100K." I said, "Dude, exclamation point. If I get this, I will give you a finder's fee." I just messaged him. He said, "Ha ha, I hope he's legit." It ended there. It ended there with him saying, "I hope he's legit." So I reach out to the guy on Facebook Messenger. Okay. I reach out to him. He was in a LeBron group. He posted this card for sale. He said he was open to cash plus trade. Now you're speaking my language. I immediately reached out to him and he wasn't answering. He was not answering on Facebook Messenger. So I did what anyone would do. I found the post, and then I commented, messaged you. So we start talking back and forth. Now conversation goes into the next morning, Monday morning. And now I'm kind of panicking because I'm thinking this is probably going to be my best chance at acquiring this card, right? Cash and trade he's willing to take. So I start negotiating trades. First of all, I immediately wanted to send him all of my biggest bangers as far as my high end stuff, right? So he found about 35K in trade that he liked of mine, right? I think he found like 6 cards. I think it was either 5 or 6 cards. Now, remember, my entire strategy for acquiring this card has been this. After the John Morant flip and after the Jason Tatum flip that I made, where I came away with like 20K profit, I was doing nothing but buying up high-end football quarterbacks. That was my thing. And I wasn't really posting much of it on Instagram. I wasn't really talking a ton about it on the podcast, but that's what I was doing. I was buying up a lot of high-end like RPAs, anything I could find, right? So I was pretty football heavy because my strategy was to hold these cards until national, cash out at national, and then walk the national floor and try to find this card on the floor and just have like, 80 or 90K cash. So I'm sending to this guy, right? And he's like, he found like I said, about 35K in trade that he liked. So I said, all right, what are we talking here? Like, you want to do rest cash? And then he starts leaving me on red. That's what it felt like. I'm not 100% on this, right? But I'm like, did he leave me on red? He's taking a long time to answer. So I go to his Facebook profile and I start looking at some of his pictures. I'm like, okay, let me make sure this guy is legit. So I'm looking at some pictures of him and I'm like, I think I recognize this guy. I think that's Prism God or Prism God on Instagram. And I'm like, holy crap. Prism God, he is and I don't want to speak out of terms on things I don't fully know, but I think he is the creator and founder of Culture Collision, that incredible show, and where they fuse music and cards and basketball and breaks and all this stuff. And I know he's got a killer collection, and I know I bumped into some of his people at Hofstra a few weeks back. And randomly, after the Hofstra show, we started DMing each other, just being like, "Hey, what's up, man? Heard you were at Hofstra. I missed you, kind of thing. Like, much respect. I see you, kind of thing. It was like, it felt like mutual admiration. And then, like, 3 weeks later, I'm talking with him on Facebook about this card. So I was like, okay, I need this card. So I message him and I go, "Am I messaging you on Facebook?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Awesome." I said, "Dude, let's get a deal done." And then he kind of went quiet. And when he finally answered me, he said, "I'm just not crazy about the deal." Immediately, I felt my world falling apart. I'm like, "Oh my God, he's not going to do it. Oh my God." I'm like, "What is going on here?" So I had already started trying to liquidate my cards and what my inventory was. And by liquidate, I mean, I've been consolidating over the last few months, right? I've talked about it on my podcast. I've talked about it on the bounce. Pure consolidation. I mean, I've gone from 120 slabs. By the next show, I'm down to 80 slabs. By the next show, I'm down to 40. By this point, this past week, I was only down to about 25 slabs in total. About 25 slabs in total, about 100K in inventory. That's basically what I've been at. I'm telling you guys the numbers. So, all at the same time, I'm trying to figure out a trade with him that cards he wants, because I want to trade him as much as I can at current comps, because I know in order to liquidate my collection quick, I'm going to have to sell under comps. So, I didn't think he was going to want. So we end up regrouping. He goes, "I'm not crazy about the cards." Now comes like Tuesday, right? So now 48 hours have passed. Him and I aren't even close to a deal. I'm quite certain people are probably reaching out to him. Now I'm sure the buyer pool is small. I'm sure the buyer pool is small, because when you're talking about this level of card, there aren't many people that can pull the trigger on that. But one thing that I've learned, when you're swimming with these kind of big fish, there are sharks out there that will have enough inventory or just straight cash to scoop up 100K card like that. Like that. That's one thing I've learned, is that you might not ever know who has the cash to just scoop something up like that, but there are people out there that do if they want it bad enough. So we end up regrouping. He finds two cards he likes. He found my Tom Brady Bowman Chrome PSA 10. Current comps are about 14.5. And then you know what else he found? A card I did not want to move, but a card that challenged me to the core of, how bad do you want this card? And I wanted it bad. He also wanted my 1951 Mickey Mantle Bowman True Rookie SGC2. Comps are around 12 to 13K. So, I mean, that's good, right? He's got two big whales that he wants, right? He's got about 25, 26K in trade that he wants, but he's down 10K trade from what he wanted before. So now I got to come up with even 10 more K cash. So now I'm looking at what, 40, almost 50K cash I need to come up with. And I'm like, oh my God. So I'm scrambling. If you follow me on Instagram, you probably saw me post some pretty nice football cards. I was posting Josh Allen RPAs, Kyler Murray RPAs, uh, some Tom Brady silvers, really Steph Curry on card autos. And in these posts, I'm saying under comps. I just started liquidating everything. So the same group of guys that bought 30K from me at Laz's show in New Jersey in February, and the same guys that scooped up my flawless Jason Tatum RPA. The only reason why they scooped those up, by the way, is because I gave them to them at 75 to 80% comps. So because I've had a pretty good relationship with these guys, because I've always treated them well and they've always treated me well, because I left enough meat on the bones so that they could eat after our deal and I wasn't trying to milk every single dollar out of them. I hit them up. I said, guys, listen, plans have changed. I have a lot of football heat. You guys want to make a deal? They said, absolutely. So you know what I did? So we spent about probably 24 hours negotiating. I was texting them pictures back and forth, back and forth. I drove down to Queens. I drove down to Queens from Connecticut, about an hour, hour and a half, drove down there, made a deal in a parking lot, made a parking lot deal, 15K cash, boom. I was liquidating everything to get this LeBron, and I still did not have a guarantee I was going to get this LeBron. Okay. So we have 25K in trade, a lot of cash, and my cards are just dwindling down. But at this point, I don't care. At this point, I don't care because I want this LeBron card. I believe in this LeBron card so much. I believe that at some point in my lifetime, this will be a $1 million card. I truly believe that. I believe this will be a $1 million card. I believe that this was already 100,000. This was over $100,000 card at one point. But between LeBron's play and I think maybe some of his off court things, I don't know. But for some reason, he's down and he's been down for the last, like, what, 6 to 9 months? He's been down 60, 70, 80%. It's just insane. And really, I think a lot of the high end dealers that I talk to, they're like, I'm buying up LeBron. They're buying up Topps Chrome PSA 10s like it's going out of style. Because right now, what a PSA Topps Chrome PSA 10 is maybe 8K. I'm gonna look it up real quick. Hold on. As we're talking, right? As we're talking, as you can tell, I don't prepare for any of these shows. I just wing them. So right now, I'm looking up on Card Ladder. Okay, a 2003 LeBron Chrome PSA 10. Let's see. All right, let's see. Right now, the current value is 8,900 for a LeBron James 2003 Topps Chrome PSA 10. The high, it was at 43K. It was at 43K less than 2 years ago. So, yeah, people I talk to, I mean, when you look at it like that, LeBron is down 80%. 80% since that. So when you talk about these big cards, they will absolutely have a bounce back, in my opinion, anyways. In my opinion. So I drive down the Staten Island, or not Staten Island, I drive down the Queens, meet him in a shady parking lot. make the deal, make the exchange, shake hands, and I'm back in Connecticut. So I go to FedEx, send him out these cards. I wire him three quarters of the money. 2 days later, I PayPal him the rest. And then he FedExes me the card. And now I have it. So that's it. And it's crazy. So Craig at New York City Sports Cards, he text messages me the other day, sends me a screenshot. And he said, 1 year ago, this is the card that you posted. And it was a LaMelo Ball Donruss rated rookie raw. He goes, 1 year ago, you posted this. He goes, now you're buying LeBron James Ultimate Collection rookie autos out of 250. It's crazy. So when he texts me that, man, it's like I got goosebumps. I got the chills because it just really puts things in perspective, right? So all along, what my journey has been taking care of myself, taking care of my collection, and just slowly moving up. That's all I've been doing, slowly moving up. Every week, every other week, I'm putting in $1,000, 500, 1,000, 2,000, 1,000, 2,000. I didn't like start with 50K. I didn't just like pull money out of my 401k and start buying up sports cards. I literally started with buying base cards in Facebook groups and slowly over time started buying slabs. Slowly over time started flipping those and moving those. And you know what? I really figured out how to trade up. And I've talked about this, I've said it a lot, and I'll say it again. When you see the card, it's almost like the tip of an iceberg sticking out of the ocean. You don't see the massive iceberg of deals underneath that it took to get here. Let me tell you, this single card represents hundreds, if not thousands, of transactions that I have made. And yeah, I mean, I moved the Mickey Mantle rookie to get this card. I kept a couple really cool cards. I kept my 2000 Tom Brady Fleer autographics card, the sideways card. Kept that. So I still have my Tom Brady rookie. I still have the Wilt Chamberlain rookie behind me. So 2 days ago, I actually was able to get another Grail card. I got another Grail card a couple days ago. And if you're watching on YouTube, I'll show you. I got the 1982 Wrestling All-Stars Hulk Hogan autograph. All right. So Hulk Hogan and Mickey Mantle are the two guys that are at the very top of my PC pyramid. Okay. And I bought a 1982 Wrestling All-Stars Hulk Hogan Raw. I bought two of them last year, like basically during the height, during the peak of the bull run in the market. I bought those two and I paid like $1,000 each for them raw. I got them both slab through SGC. Sold one of them to Awkward High Five. Shout out to Brian, Awkward High Five. And then kept one. And then when PSA finally opened back up with grading, I wanted to get cute. And I said, you know what? I think I'm going to send this to my to the guy that does the grading for me, like group submissions. I'm going to send it to him. He can crack it out for me, send it to get graded by PSA, because in my mind, it would be more valuable if I got graded or if I got it graded in PSA. And who cares? Because this is like literally my PC, my personal collection. It's not going anywhere. It got lost in the mail and I never recovered that money, or I never recovered the card, I should say. So I had a big day at Autograph Fest, Probstein's Autograph Fest last week. Phenomenal. I think I want to do a recap episode, but by the time I do it, it's going to be probably another week or two. So I probably won't end up doing one. But shout out to Rick Probstein. Shout out to the Slab Exchange. I was there set up front and center with Tyler Santiago from Santiago Sports, Jay from Mojo Autographs, Nick Slab Exchange, Ken at Sports Card Lessons, Dave at DJ Sports Cards 86. Just so many good people, man. So many good people. And I had a good day, and I had been messaging back and forth with a few people about this card, and I was able to grab this card, 2K. $2,000, well worth it. This is going to stay in my PC. It's never going to leave. I also have the 85 Hogan rookie autographed. Also have, a couple other random Hogan autos. And, I just love Hulk Hogan. But so those cards got lost in the mail about 8 weeks ago. And people were basically telling me like, man, that money's gone. And the guy who I sent for the group submission is like, the money was the packages are insured, but we're not going through the U.S. Postal Service for insurance. We went through our own, so it's going to be a while. And like, and I had people like, man, it don't take that long. This guy's jerking you around. You are not getting your money. Would you believe that $8,000 insurance check for all my cards lost, which totaled up to $6K, and my buddy Ken had $2K. So that check for $8K came on the day where I paid off the balance to Prism God for this. Amazing. So, by the way, I am definitely bringing Prism God on the pod. We're going to talk about not only the deal, this deal is just a small blip in the radar. I think for what I've been able to accomplish, for what he's been able to accomplish. But I know for me, this is it right here, man. This is it. This is it. So, I've had people ask, like, okay, what's next? What are you going to do? You've already accomplished your goal. And I think it's almost like the card gods wanted it like this. Like they didn't want me to spend because the card gods care about me, right? It sounds so stupid to say it out loud. I almost wish I could take that back because it sounds so corny. But it's almost like maybe I wasn't meant to spend an entire a year-long quest for this card. Maybe it wasn't meant for me to spend an entire season of this podcast chasing this LeBron card. Maybe it was only meant for half a season. So what's the second half of the season going to be about? What direction in the hobby am I going to go in? I don't know. All I know is the leveling up is going to continue. I don't have much to consolidate down to because right now, I mean, looking at my cards, I probably have about, I don't know, probably 20 or 30 slabs, I guess. But I mean, nothing crazy. You know what I mean? Right now, I'm probably only down about maybe 25K in inventory. So I'm a long ways away from that 100K in inventory I was at. So I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm still setting up at National. I'm still doing shows. I have Springfield, Massachusetts coming up. I have Mohegan Sun coming up. So I have a couple big shows. Oh, and by the way, I also have a son on the way, due at the beginning of July. So, but just want to give a big shout out to everyone that has been along for the ride with me, doing Sports Card Therapist. Everyone that's been supportive, everyone that DMs that just I love you guys. You guys are amazing. I'm going to end it at that, guys. All right. Don't forget, take care of yourself and your collection. Have a good one.